Hello, I'm Dina Jackway, Parkview's Chief Administrative Officer, and welcome to another episode of Parkview Connections, a podcast geared to help our community connect, learn, and grow in leadership. So today we are excited to be here at Dancer Concrete Design, and I have with us the president of the company, Nick Dancer. And I'll be honest, Nick, this was a company that I did not know anything about and was introduced to just hearing about your obsession with culture and this organization. So talk a little bit before we really get into this culture. Tell us about Dancer Concrete.
Yeah, so a lot of people know construction in Fort Wayne. They'll know like the major general contractors in town, but what we are is a subcontractor. So we work for major contractors and we do like a specialty portion of their work. And in our business, we do polished concrete floors, epoxy floor coatings, and terrazzo. So we might find ourselves in a food production facility where they're actually making food and they need floor protection to meet like FDA regulation, all the way to like a lobby or a vestibule where polished concrete's a really good fit, or terrazzo where we do really nice floors that can incorporate glass, broken seashells, and we also make precast elements such as stairs for projects all around Fort Wayne. The
Parkview Clinic at Electric Works has a Dancer concrete floor, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
We've been able to be a part of a couple Parkview projects. So the GE campus has a polished concrete floor in the main vestibule when you walk in that leads into a hallway that connects all the corridors. And then also we've done some work at Parkview in an area like a boiler room where you need an epoxy coating in case something leaks, that all the water would flow to a drain or contain the water. So we do some work that's very visible. Community would see it out in walking around, and also some of the behind the scenes type work. So it's a nice mixture of really design driven work, and then also where design serves a function or a purpose behind the scenes.
So we do have a connection. I know we're going to talk today a lot about your culture.
Yep.
And that's really the basis of just understanding, again, what you've done to cultivate that here. But I know you want to take us to a few different places, and we're going to start with, I understand, coffee, which is my favorite, by the way.
Yes, we claim to have Fort Wayne's best office coffee, and so we think that all great days start with a nice cup of coffee, so let's go in here.
Let's go.
One of the reasons we think making good coffee is good is because to make an Americano, it takes a little bit more process, it takes a little bit more time, but we think the intention in the way we approach any work, whether it's a floor or coffee, you can do it the regular way or you can do it the more process-driven way, and we think this produces a better result. And you can't rush this process either. We got a 5-second grind, it's a 30-second extraction process. And when we do floors, we do floors in a very process-driven way. And one of the things we all as humans want to do is speed things up. We want things to go faster or more efficient. And we're in still a trade that requires a lot of time to do things well. And I think sometimes it's just a mindset that like this shows us that the right mindset can produce different results. And it's just fun to have a nice espresso machine in an office.
We are always trying to find efficiencies and speed up the process. And sometimes speeding up the process takes away from the experience overall, and just the quality of products. So I think that's a great analogy while we're talking about coffee. It's any industry, when you're thinking about serving your customers and serving your teams well, it really is sometimes slowing down.
Yeah, and we all do want things well done and fast. So when I order from Amazon, I want it done fast. If I go to the hospital, I want to be seen and get out. And so people want their floors done fast, but they don't want it at the exception of making a mistake or less than best care or less than best service. And so how do we balance all those things? It's kind of the total service experience. Speed actually is a great way to serve people, but how do you do it without error in a way that is actually accurate too?
Nick, I know that you have a few places within the organization that you want to show me that really help, again, exude the culture that you've built. All right, so here we are in front of the huddle board. And Nick, walk me through.
Yeah, so this is something we call the Daily Huddle Board, and this was borrowed from a book called Scaling Up. And so what we do is we have a visual representation of what's going on in our business each day. So most of the time, we're meeting here at 7 o'clock, and we're separating. Some guys come in early, depends on where their jobs are. Some might meet on site, but 90% of the time, you're going to be here for a daily huddle. And the purpose of this is to visually get a representation of what's going on, and we share our plans, goals, and stucks. So that's, what do you plan to do? Where do you want to get at the end of the day? And then stucks, what are the things that keep you up at night? What are the things that are kind of bugging you? It's a practice of sharing that within the team. And the really neat thing is if I'm the blue team or the red team, I get to understand some of those things that they're going through. So if I'm like, I'm gonna have an easier day, sounds like you guys need an extra guy, would that help you out? Or I don't have to just constrict my learning to my team I'm on. I might not know all the details of another project, but I get to start learning at the capacity of the whole business rather than just learning what I'm going through that day. So it's kind of an open book of what everybody's day looks like, so we can make the best business decision.
And how long are the huddles typically lasting?
It's just a couple minutes each morning. So each team is gonna give kind of an update, a status update of those plans, goals, and stucks, and we kind of process through. There is some fun in those sometimes, or some jokes, but it's quick, and the idea is that we're gonna 10x our time by having these. So maybe because we have this huddle, that minute should save us 10 minutes on the job site because there's some clarity around things. It's funny when I hear businesses saying they don't have time for something like this because they're so busy, when we see like we wouldn't have time not to do this because our business would be very reactive in nature. I think as John Maxwell would say, like a good leader leads everyone the same. A great leader caters to different people based upon what they need. And so much like excellent care means different things to different people when you lead people, or each of these teams have certain values that we share as Dancer Concrete Design, but they each have their own personality in some of the ways they do things. And so, an experienced team leader doesn't want to be talked to about the 20 steps they have to take today and visual representation of every step because they know what they need to know. Where a young team leader wants that because they're growing in their skill sets and they do need a little bit more time. So some of these guys don't need much or anything from us, while other ones do need more. But that view helps us prioritize, be like, all right, these guys are doing something hard. They might need some more direction here.
Nick, how do you adjust your leadership style to do just that? How do you find yourself navigating that personalization and knowing where everyone is on their journey?
Like we talked about, we're about a 40-person company, and I think I would be best suited for a small organization. And even in larger organizations, what you see a lot of times is there's different groups or divisions so you can keep leadership tight with the people. And so I think it's important that you know the people you work with. And so you're either working with them all the time or you're having regular one-on-ones, you understand what's going on. Much like in somebody's personal life, if they're going through a death in the family, or we just had somebody have their dog get hit by a car, like they actually need some different things. They actually need off a little early because they need to go get that taken care of. And so I think keeping personal relationships and leadership close to the work is really important.
Clearly, even by looking at the huddle board and so far, team really feels like it's a deep component of your culture.
It's being part of the Dancer Concrete Design team means this one thing. For example, Blue's really good at long-term projects that require a strategic way to phase a project. That's just something that they've learned to be really good at. The red team is our terrazzo crew, so they mostly do terrazzo work, which takes a certain type of mindset. The green team for us this year is going to be like the high production crew. They're the guys that just know how to get in and get stuff done, and building teams and people that have different personalities that are associated with that. And so just how do we play to people's strengths so they can be in the best spot to succeed?
How do you as a leader uncover those strengths?
Time, experience, and then also I see this very similar to how you'd have a starting lineup on a football team. Like your starters are always changing based upon needs or what's going on or how somebody's performing, and just continually put them in spots to grow as well. So one of our core values is always growing, and always growing means that you have to lean into your edge and that it's going to be uncomfortable. So what we're saying is it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to have butterflies in your stomach or kind of nervous. Like we all get that when we're leaning into our edge. Now, if you're day 2 at our company, I'm not going to put you in a team leader spot because then you'd break. But I could ask you maybe when you're 6 months in, hey, could you leave this job for a day? And you've been around somebody who's been doing the project.
Before we head off to the next place, I just want to pause on one comment you made. I think being comfortable with the uncomfortable as a leader, that's one of the best skills to have, because as a leader, you should always be uncomfortable, which means you're pushing and you're trying to help create and bring all boats up to a new level. So I think that's a piece that just asking good questions, but you yourself being uncomfortable helps you be a better leader.
So we're going to be walking into Costco, and Costco in our business is where you go shopping. And so all of our teams have the required resources to do their job every day. They have the tooling, the machines, vehicles, and all that, but you always have the consumables that you use. And in our business, inventory control is just use what you need. And so we have kind of an honor system that you get to go shopping, and the best part is it doesn't cost you anything. So you can fill up your cart, you can come in here, and you can kind of go through the process of your day. What are you gonna need? Are you gonna need some 4-inch razors? Are you gonna need some stir sticks, some brushes, rollers? And then we come through here once a week as a visual checklist and just go through and restock that as needed. And by making sure we have everything you need every day, you get a time to come back here and kind of restock your team.
You know, one of the things that's very similar is when we round with our coworkers, it's asking a great question, and that is, do you have the tools and equipment you need to do your role?
Yeah.
And being able, obviously in the world of healthcare, the kind of Costco environment that we would have would be unimaginable. But I do think the question pointed to, do you have what you need to do your job? And if you don't, what do you need so that we can find another way? Or if it's not something that we have, then what is it? And how do we get that to you? But that question, that engagement between a leader and a coworker is really important to understand that.
So we're walking into what we call the vault. And so the vault is where we carry all of our expensive grinders. So when we polish a floor, those are like big sanders. And so they have diamond tooling that go up underneath, and they actually sand concrete, and they can sand and make it really shiny, or they can rough it up so epoxy coatings can stick to concrete floors. And so these are maintained, they're ready to go out.
I do notice, and throughout the whole organization, there's a lot of your branding.
You know, that brand means nothing when you start, but it means something as you work here. And we want nice equipment that looks good. And so part of our core values is neat, clean, and organized, or the resources teams need. And so to me, that means, you know, we're gonna take good care of it, we're gonna stand out on job sites, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. In our business, there's no trade-specific school for the people that come in to our kind of industry. And so what we can do is we have two options. One is to complain about it, or the other one is to take a proactive approach and think about the blessing it is to actually, now we get to actually train in-house. And now we're not only training how we technically do things, but the why behind it, and then how that makes us stand out as a company and what we're going to do different. So all this flooring here has actually been part of training modules when somebody starts with our company. And so some of the details we teach in our business, we want to teach here and show how we want to stand out as a company. And so this is built in a very craft-based way. There's no fast way to build this cove. And we want to teach like how we miter an outside corner, what the texture is, how to match the texture, and how important some of those details are. And so that's what we're teaching back here on the training pad.
So this area, I mean, really, the equivalent for us would be kind of a simulation lab, and all the sim labs that we have. And when a new nurse starts, they go through Jumpstart, which is all around that simulated training and experiences. So they're able to build the floor here. Perhaps they make errors, but they're able to keep learning and getting better at the skill.
And it's a safe space. Like, we want to create an environment where you can ask questions, and it's also important to pick good trainers that are really good at their craft, but also the type of people that enjoy allowing people to learn new skill sets too.
All right, so Nick, we are here in front of, I believe, what represents your core values.
Yep.
Why these values? And have they been the same values since the beginning?
The essence of them has always been the same, but wordsmithing took years and years and years. And like a lot of small companies, we went back and forth, like this means this and this means this. And then at one point we just said, hey, we gotta just stick with these. These are capturing the essence of what's been consistent since we started. The key thing that's not even here is the driving force of our business, and these have to support that. These are the characteristics we should know and expect from working with each other. And customers might not use these words, but this is also how they would describe working with us. And so the big driving force of our company is growing leaders who deliver best work. And that means that there's leadership opportunities, and at the end of the day, customers always get the best work from working with us.
What's the best way that team members that work at Dancer, how do they give you and share their voice in terms of you shaping what's next for the organization?
Culture is malleable, and it changes as well because it is different. You know, this business was started with me in a work van with a Craigslist helper, and now we have teams and people making decisions, and it's much more than just me now. And that's good because it's created good opportunities, and I'm limited in my capabilities and skill sets, where now we have people that are great project leaders being great project leaders. We have great designers designing and somebody running the books instead of me doing all those things. If I was coming into a company at 40 people and the culture was just going to stay, I would feel like my impact doesn't matter. But I should feel like I'm open to the culture changing, because now that I'm part of the team, it's got an opportunity to change and adjust as well. And I think one of the things we do best here is just allowing individual personalities play out and allowing people to bring their whole selves to work. And that's in the good and quirky ways, and knowing that things change and adjust and can continue to get better and better the more people that are involved.
Yeah, everything you just said, when we think about right person, right role, right work, you really invest and empower individuals. And I think that's what makes the best leader, is someone who can empower. And as long as you give the right communication, and as long as you give kind of those true north priorities, you're really able to watch all of that magic happen because you have the right people in place.
Yeah, and you're accountable to the team as well. We also have a culture where you have to be open to getting some praise for that. And also, if you didn't do a great job, you have to be willing to be accountable to where you didn't do a good job. And most of the time, it's my fault. So most of the time, I have to stand in front of the team and tell them what I did silly or something like that, or where I made a mistake. It's not hands off like, here's the core values and go, but it's, here's the core values, go a little bit, come back to the team, go a little bit, come back to the team, and you build and build on that. And then at the end of the day, we find out who are the best leaders to lead projects and represent the brand. Because if we're at 9 jobs today, to the person that hires us, that team leader or that project leader is Dancer Concrete Design. And so we're not just a single location, we're throughout the whole region, spread out. And so we're representing the company in a lot of different places, and that representation is really important.
I love how you said vulnerability. Your own vulnerability as a leader is important too, because we all make mistakes as leaders, and being able to stand up and okay, here's where I messed up, here's how we're going to self-correct, that really builds not only yourself as a leader, but it builds the team, recognizing, okay, it's okay if I make a mistake, and it's okay, I can learn from that and move on and be even stronger on the other side. So congratulations, and thanks for sharing the time and the team and the space today with us, and the coffee.
Yes, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
So appreciate you all tuning in to another episode of Parkview Connections. And as I said earlier, Dancer Concrete was not on our radar, and we knew that they had done some work with Parkview, but really understanding the culture and understanding just the similarities of how we approach our work, how we hire individuals, train individuals, onboard individuals, and even as the sign behind me, growing leaders who deliver the best work. That is really what we are all about, because we know it's all about our people. We know that as leaders, investing in coworkers and spending time with team members is one of the most important things that we can do. Growing our coworker voice and hearing and listening, and then really following up and making sure that we are doing the right things at the right time for all of our team members. So I think that there's so many similarities today. I learned a ton. I think really being able to see that there's so many gems in our community, but as a leader, we all have responsibility to grow and to continue to invest in ourselves so that we can be better for not only our organizations that we work, but our communities. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.